Chapter 5. Wrecked on a Desert Island. We sailed to the north, along the coast, and planned to cross the Atlantic Ocean to Africa at between 10 and 12 degrees north latitude. That was the sea route from North America to Africa at that time. The weather was good, but very hot. We sailed north for several days. Then we turned to the northeast. About 12 days later, we crossed the equator. When we were at 7 degrees, 22 minutes north latitude, there was a violent tornado. Its violence was out of our knowledge. It lasted for 12 days, and the sea seemed to swallow the boat up every minute. One of us died of disease, and 2 were washed overboard. The ship was badly damaged. In the morning, one of us saw land, but soon our ship hit the sand under the sea and could not move. Since the ship could not move, it was in danger of being broken into pieces any minute. We had to leave the ship as quickly as possible. We got on a boat and tried to sail towards the land. It was impossible for such a small boat to live long in that wild water. Soon it was turned over by a wave, and we were all in the water. I looked around, but could see nobody. I could only see mountains of water all around me. Suddenly, my feet touched the ground, and a wave pushed me up to the beach. I got up and walked higher up to the shore. I tried to look for my friends, but I could not see anyone. All of them had drowned. It was dark now, and I stayed up on a big tree for the night, for I was afraid of wild animals. The next day, the sea was quiet again. To my surprise, our ship was still there in the sea, and still in one piece. I swam to it, but it was hard to get onto it. I swam around it, and finally got into it through a hole. I was very hungry, so I found some food and began to eat. Then I decided to take some food and some other things I needed to the shore. It was not an easy job. I found several pieces of wood and tied them together with a rope. I put the things on the little raft and swam carefully to the shore. It was not easy to stop the things from falling off the raft, but in the end, I had not lost anything. I got rice, salted meat, bread, knives, guns, and tools. I also got pens, paper, and books. As a matter of fact, I tried to get everything I could to the shore. I wanted to set up a tent for myself, and I needed a lot of things. So I had to go back to the ship again and again. While I was absent from the land, I worried about my food on the shore. It might be eaten by animals or taken away by wild people. When I came back, I found no signs of any visitors. Only a small wild cat sat on one of the chests, who seemed willing to become my friend. I presented my gun at her, but obviously she did not understand. I tossed her a bit of a biscuit. She went to it, smelled it, ate it, and looked for more. I could not give her any more, and so she marched off. I went up to the top of the highest hill to look around. I could see that I was on an island, and there were two smaller islands a few miles away. Later, I found a cave in the side of the hill. I set up a fine tent in front of it. The cave was a very good place for me to keep my belongings. That night, I had a good sleep in the tent, which was my new home. I was afraid that there were wild animals on the island, and so I began to build a fence in front of the cave. I cut down trees and used ropes I got from the ship. In the end, I had a strong fence, which was in a half circle around my cave and tent. Making a tent and building a fence was not an easy job, and I needed different kinds of tools. Then one day, the tide pushed the ship very close to the beach, so it was easy for me to get things from it. I went back to the ship many times, and later there was a terrible storm that night. The next morning, I hurried to the shore to see the ship, but I could only see pieces of wood. I was very sad for a period of time. All my friends were dead. I was alone on an island, far from any sea route. I knew that I had to live on the island for quite a long time, or even all my life. Later, I told myself I was very lucky to be alive, to have food and tools. I was still young, and I had a long way to go in the world. On a piece of wood, I cut the date that day. I decided to make a cut for each day so that I knew how long I had stayed on the island. I decided to get ready to live on the island for a long time.